Most people in here are natural SEO people, or at least familiar with it, so I don't have to explain click-through and stuff, or is that accurate? Let me, so we don't embarrass people, how many people are SEOs or know enough about that I don't have to do an explanation of it? Okay, that's enough. For Worley, are you paying attention? Basically, what we're looking to do, part of the process here is traditional PR, which is creating buzz. And that is getting people's attention, getting it fast, and getting them to notice you. But at the same time, we're doing things that are going to help us with natural SEO, because we want to do short-term planning and long-term planning. So from the social media standpoint, I'm looking for click-throughs from the activity that we have out there. I'm also looking for backlinks, so I want people to talk about us, link to Viewsy, and link to our properties, so that we can have them, generate buzz for us later on after we've finished what we're doing. And then we want to, if we can, we want to try to define some anchor text, which in this situation really isn't a huge deal, because out of the top 10 things that top 10 words that people use to search us on, 8 of them are Viewsy or some version of misspelling Viewsy or Viewsy.com or Viewsy search engine, stuff like that. I'm assuming we know what social media is. Essentially, social media is a catch-all phrase that means talking to people online. It can be connecting with them through bulletin boards. It can be IRC. It can be Facebook, MySpace, YouTube, Flickr, whatever. We're talking about engaging with people and GASP, actually talking to people. And some of the stuff I'm going to use is some of the examples is going to require that you actually get in front of people, human beings, not do it all behind your computer. And if you have questions, please interrupt me, because I know I've got more slides than I can cover tonight. So when questions pop up, I'd rather have a conversation than me do this. Yeah, I will. Absolutely. So for Viewsy is going to be my primary case study tonight. The basics that we started off with Viewsy was we launched a blog, kind of social media 101. We created a Twitter account. We went and launched a website called Viewsy TV, which this is just a screenshot of it, but I'll show you an example of one of the videos off of it. And then we had a YouTube channel. YouTube channel came much later. Yes. What we do with Twitter is, I didn't want to maintain, this is kind of lazy of me, I didn't want to maintain a separate account, because what happens is I've got my primary account, and what I do online is blurred, and that's one of the things that we talk about later on, is whether or not you take your real personal life and put it up online, or whether you have a delineation between what you are in the real world and this virtual life you have. For me, whoever I'm working for, that's more than half of my presence online. And then we also had the blessing of having all these these user experience, of these programming rock stars that worked at Viewsy that already had their own personas established, and were comfortable, and they weren't gonna put up with, hey, I'm the marketing guy, now you got to come over here and write on this thing too. I mean, they're just going to look at you and go, whatever, I'm writing code. And I know that because that's what I used to do, the marketing guy. So what I did with Twitter is I just set up Twitter feed. What's it called? Someone help me. It's an RSS, but basically there's tweet later, I think it might what it be. I'll put it inside the slide deck. There's a service, and I'm pretty sure it's called Twitter Feed. And what you do is you create an account, then you go and you feed multiple other accounts into that one and syndicate it to one channel. So essentially what we have is like 10 channels feeding into Viewsy, which are all Twitter streams of employees at Viewsy. And then when someone goes and responds back, I've got TwitDeck sitting on a machine in my office, and I've got one search term for @Viewsy. So anytime someone doesn't understand what's happening there and they comment directly to the Viewsy account, I can jump on there and answer them back. So if you go into my office and if you check my Flickr account, you'll see a bunch of pictures I have of our office and what I'm doing in social media. One of the pictures you see of a desk, I've got like 6 monitors. And most of those monitors are just one web page that sits there and refreshes itself to give me, what's happening on comments on blogs, what's happening on Twitter, things like that. I do image searches. So if people are posting stuff up on 12 different photo sharing sites and they're grabbing screenshots and tagging on Viewsy, I can jump over there and say, comment on it. Because for me, my primary role literally about 30% of the time I spend for Viewsy is on Twitter by itself, and the rest of the time I'm just out there looking on the internet for people commenting about us. So either I can answer questions, concerns they may have, or just say, hey, thanks for checking us out. I mean, that's literally all I do for a living. So I'll put some more details in the slide deck that you guys can download. I lost something. Here we go. So this is actually the thing we do with Viewsy TV. Now, if you go to viewsy.tv, what this is our own Flash player where we go and we upload videos. Now, we deploy the videos in other places also. But Viewsy TV allows us to go and create our own experience. We get about 2,500 visitors a day on this, and not only are this is what Viewsy videos are, but I go to 5 or 6 events a month, and I'll do interviews with people in search or in marketing or social media and stuff like that. So you can come up here and see like Chris Brogan and have an interview with Chris Brogan or Chris Perillo from Locker Gnome or Robert Scoble or something like that. So this is. The first reason why we put Viewsy up here was more of we've got to educate people on what the product is, because if we come in and we tell people we're a search engine, they come to the site and do a search, and the first thing that happens is they're kind of flabbergasted, because instead of giving them back search results, we present them with this view. And people don't know what to do with the view, so we've got this 2-minute video that's kind of this is how you use us. Let me see if we can hear it.
Welcome to Viewsy 101. I'm going to take a minute and show you how Viewsy works and how it's different from other search engines we've used. The big search engines are great, but sometimes they just give you too many results with too much noise, and it's a bit boring. Searching for a fancy new dress? Do you really want a list of 1 million links, or do you want to see the possibility? Let's take a look at a new way to experience search. One that's much more about user experience than about something millions of results on you. Viewsy is a new way to experience search. It gives you results from the big search engines like Google and Yahoo, but also pulls in great things from more specialized sources like Amazon and Flickr. And instead of giving you one a big list, Viewsy organizes your results into this whole new way that makes it easier to find things and more fun to use. Here's how it works. Start by typing in something like YouTube.
Okay, so you can go on your own time and check. I'm not going to bore with the whole thing, but essentially our issue was, how do we get something that's going to be viral, that's going to be real, and that's going to introduce people to exactly what we're all about. The woman in the video, she is actually an intern of ours. She's a C++ programmer, and she ended up being kind of a diamond in the rough. When she came in, she interviewed for the internship to be a tester, and we had her testing out reading the script before we were going to hire her in a professional spokesmodel, and she learned it the first time she read through it. And we're like, okay, go do your hair and come back, and you're going to do the video. And so she's actually an employee. She's an intern. She goes to University of Texas at Dallas, and that for me, from the standpoint of what we're trying to communicate to the world, is this really is one of us. We didn't go out and hire somebody to do it, and she's not the most polished person, but she was good enough, and she's an employee. And now we've got somebody who, she's got a bunch of fan sites called Viewsy Girl and stuff like that. So whenever she goes to events, people recognize her, number one, and number two, she can really talk about the product. And she can talk about code with people and talk about why we do the things we do. So that was a bonus for us, because if we didn't have her as an intern, that we weren't going to have one of the fat middle-aged guys do the video. We had to get somebody that had good curb appeal. So we were going to go out and hire a professional spokesperson. And we did a couple of tests with having people come with us to events to represent us on video, and almost every time, whether it was, it didn't matter, we would go to events and we would have, different men and women that would be professional spokespeople, but they would ask a couple of questions of the technologists there, and then there was no way for them to follow up. And so, great on camera, but you can't have a conversation with that person because they have a script and they don't understand technology. So that was a nice kind of happy accident for us. So we'll show you some goods about what we did through the different platforms and how we got to actually get access to large media. Chris Perillo runs the Gnome Dex conference up in Seattle. He's been involved in traditional and social media pretty much his whole life. He started off as a tech TV host, back in the mid-'90s. And now, essentially, he runs a website called live.perillo.com. This is all he does for a living, and he's a live caster. He streams his life on the web 24 hours a day. He does demos for people, but he's got great reach on his website. He had enough reach that CNN has him do a video review once a week. When we introduced him to Vusey through Twitter, and I'd been